have. There are lots of people who take a common sense approach to the single cell human life. And the common sense approach, I do not believe is correct, but it is what the current kind of common sense of things produces. And that is, you're wrong, Stephanie, to talk about that single-celled organism as a subject. They will say it's a potential subject, but it is not, in fact, a subject.
So if an individual says that, then the question we want to ask is, well, what does science say about when a subject comes into existence? If people will agree that you and I are subjects and not objects, when biologically did we begin our lives? Was it 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Was it our birthdays? Was it sometime before our birthdays? And our birthdays really were a change of location. So the question then becomes, if not our birthdays, what point prior to birth? Well, if we say 8 months, or if we say a month before birth, or we say 3 months before birth, or 6 months before birth, what is happening a month or 3 months or 6 months prior? Just a maturity, a maturing, a growth and development, a increase in our size. But if we want to go to the precise point in which it's more than a change of development, but something new coming into existence entirely, that would be 9 months before birth, give or take. But the point is, what happens 9 months before birth is the moment of fertilization or sperm egg fusion, where prior to that moment, you have human parts, the sperm and the egg, that aren't human beings. But when they come together, the genetic information which distinguishes you from me and each of us from our parents was determined at that moment. And from that point forward, all that changes is the maturation of the individual. We become more developed, we become more independent, we become larger. But our identity as different from our parents began biologically, scientifically at the moment of sperm egg fusion. And therefore, that is when a subject comes into existence. And quite frankly, the IVF industry at least acknowledges that, because an IVF specialist is not satisfied with just a sperm sample or just the harvesting of eggs. The one moment an IVF specialist is trying to achieve in the lab is the moment of fertilization. It's not a month prior to birth or 6 months prior to birth. It's what happens 9 months prior to birth, that moment of sperm egg fusion. That's the start of the offspring.